Hey guys, it's Dan, tour and warm-up video. Today's topic is heads up, 15 big blinds deep, pre-flop strategies. Purpose of this video is to show you that to play by default limp on this strategy is wrong. And I want to prove it to you by showing you some math and pi analysis. On the right I have limp only strategy by pi solver. And we would take a look at EV. So small blind has 5.01 chips of an EV by playing limp only strategy. On the right we have mixed strategy, which gives us EV of 10.4, but big blind is 2 times bigger there. So we need to divide this number by 2. Let me actually note, okay, I already noted it there. EV of a limp only strategy is 501, EV of a mixed strategy is 5.2, and difference is 1.8 BB100. Like if I figure out like in BB100, that would be a difference. You might ask why win rate of a small blind is so low. It's like 2 big blinds 100 right here on a mixed strategy. Well, it's just because big blind as well plays perfect strategy against small blind as best as he can. It's GTO solution, so we don't mind, but we still are interested in some theory aspects, adjustments, and we want to start with highest EV strategies, right? As for big blind against limp only strategy, of course, performs better. His win rate in chips, his win rate is 9.98. I noted it right here. And win rate of big blind in a mixed strategy is 19.6. But again, we need to divide it by 2 to have proper comparison. So you see that big blind, if we play against limp only strategy as a big blind, then it benefits us and we're able to have high win rate. Okay. Just show you a range, mixed range. You can pause here, analyze it a little bit. Well, you see that it's a little bit polar, but it's still very high. It's highly equity driven and playability driven. You have strong cases that you raise for value, and that's why limp only strategies suffer a lot. It's not only from these bluffs that you don't min raise anymore, it's just you don't build a pot while you have a big hand. Some of you might tell me that I don't want to get free bet very often, and I would get it very often in that stack depth, and it would hurt my min raise, win rate of my min raise. But again, look at the range. Middle strength hands, we don't min raise as often, okay, as well as free bet of a GTO range. Look at this frequency: free bet jam 21, free bet 1/3 of pot 1.7, free bet non-all-in 6%, which combine gets free bet to like 28-29%, which is huge. Population fishes, they don't play this way. They play even more passive. So it's not correct to think that mid stack I can't min raise anymore because I suffer from free bets a lot. It's not correct. Just construct your range, make more polar kind of range. Don't min raise as often Jack-9 suited type of a hand, let's say, and you're fine. Alright, another thing I want to talk is, I see some players adjusting the wrong way to limp only strategy, and I want to make clear adjustments as a big blind against limp only player, and if we play against a guy who plays, let's say, GTO or mixed strategy. Because our ISO should change. Let's first take a look at GTO solution big blind ISO frequencies against against mixed strategy. So we see almost 16% of gems. Pi prefers to ISO 7% by 1/3 of a pot, and it's something that we didn't talk much. Actually, I told it to some guys like a year ago maybe. It's a nice strategy. It increases EV of a big blind if you ISO not only like 3x jam, but you also have some 1/3 of a pot hands that you'd like to ISO. If we take a look at the range, we see some suited aces, ace king offsuit, not super playable hand post flop, but EV of it is high by ISOing non-all-in 1/3 of a pot instead of just by jamming this combo. Some suited connectors, and by the way, these suited connectors we don't fold to a jam, right? So if against limp jam, that's our calling range. We call like everything, but not this total air, total bluff, 7 deuce offsuit. We even have nice EV by ISOing 1/3 of a pot with this hand. And the suited connectors, they are nice calls because your opponent limp jamming range against top of his range, we perform fine with our 7-6. It's rarely dominated by his pairs, by his ace-x hands. But alright, so there are ISO all-in, ISO 1/3, and some ISO non-all-in frequency, and if we combine it, total ISO frequency is almost 40%. Okay. And now let's take a look how big blind plays versus limp only strategy. As the ISO sizings, I have all-in, 3x, and min ISO. Min ISO we don't use, we use only 3x and ISO jam. First thing we notice is that ISO goes down from 40 to 32%. Another thing we notice is the jam frequency of ISO jam increases. That's what I want to take a closer look at, because what type of hands do we add now to our range, and what hands do we exclude from an ISO jam? Well, we see more these low hands, low suited connectors, and top of ace king offsuit now is a jam, and before it wasn't. Well, before it played like an ISO 1/3 of a pot. Maybe if we exclude this option, it would prefer to ISO jam 2 actually. So, well, biggest things would be that we ISO jam more of these connected hands, low connected hands. As well, we I think lower aces, this offsuit ace 4, ace 3, which is actually like 12 combinations. Before we jammed any ace 3, but now we don't do it. Is it now ISO non-all-in range? No, it's in the check backing range. Why does it happen? Just because our opponent has more aces in his limping range now, as well as we need to protect our range post flop. So we would like to have some ace axes in our range that we check back. And of course, EV of if we jam them, EV of this decision decreases because of higher limp traps in our opponent range. Next thing I did was that I compared EV of jams of some hands that Pi prefers not to jam yet. Like 6-5, we see this EV, but like King Deuce, Pi doesn't jam. But I wanted to know what would be a win rate in reality if I would prefer to ISO this jam against different type of small blinds. Actually, difference is in a small blind opponent is only his calling range, because we know that he limps like almost 100% of the hands. So biggest difference would be in his limp calling range to ISO. This almost 20%, it's close to be GTO range that players should limp call against an ISO gem. But I believe that in reality, these 9x hands, players most of the time don't limp call 15 big blinds deep, or at least like most regulars, they don't do it. Okay. And we might even exclude some of these combos, but yeah, whatever, they don't make a big impact. So what I did, I put an IC miser. I converted win rate that IC miser shows us here. I converted it to BB100. By the way, here on the top, you can read formula how to do it. I converted IC miser results versus this tighter calling range of a small blind without 9x's. I converted by EV of a check back. So what happens if I just check back and play post flop with my 6-5 suited? What EV do I have? And this data I take from EV right here. Okay, we can see EV. I click on the check, can mouse over and see different EVs. And third one is if my opponent calls like wider, he calls exactly GTO range, what happens with my combination if I jam it? Let me go to Super Poker Tool Paint. Can I draw something? Okay, works for us. All right, so 6-5 suited. EV of a checkback is -9. EV of a jam against someone who calls tighter is 0. So what are we going to do? We have intention to put it in our ISO jamming range, right? And even if players calls exactly GTO range, we still have high EV of jam than of a checkback, than to play this hand post flop. King deuce suited, EV of a jam -6 or -7 against wider range, and EV of a check is -3. So king X, we prefer just to check back and play post flop in a limp pot. Protects our range, we have some showdown value, and in general it's playable enough hands in a limp pot to have like high EVs and to jam. What's problem with a jam? Problem is that we might be dominated more often than with 6-5, and more often with than with low suited connector, right? Because he limp calls king 10, king jack, king queen, king 9, maybe even. It's a disaster for our king X type of a hand. I have 8 for offsuit, and against tight guy who limps and calls not often enough, EV of a jam is higher than EV of a check. And if he makes his calling range wider, then it gets like closer. And yeah, like what summary do I get from it? My summary would be that against strong guy who plays GTO range, I just check it back. Against someone who limps his entire range, but he still calls 17-15% of the time, it's way more profitable for me just to jam this hand, to make him to fold a lot of strong combinations. 8 deuce. 8 deuce, it's kind of similar, but think is that this combination hurts even more when player has proper limp calling range. That's why I would not go crazy by ISO jamming this combo, just because it's too weak. In general, it's like too weak. It doesn't have enough equity for me to like go crazy and just ISO jam it. Let's check some queen X. Queen 3 suited. Jam is -9. Checkback is -1. Against adjusted range, against proper limp calling range, it's even worse, -12. So it's clear check back, similar to king x. Queen with a low kicker, we don't ISO jam, we play it passive, we just check it back. 8-7 suited, +7 big blinds 100 as a jam, almost -1 as a check back, and even against adjusted, even against wider calling range, it still has better win rates than as a check back. So you might slowly start to see patterns. What are best hands to ISO jam? There are hands which are low suited connectors, some off-suited hands as well. Do I have an off-suited? Yeah, like 7-6. Let's take a look at 7-6. Jam -16. Check back -26. It's 10 big blinds, 100 difference. It's huge. And even against proper calling range, we still have better result than it's a check back. Okay. And as well, to make things clear, some jack x and 10-9 offsuit, like look, 10-9 offsuit with jam 0, check back v -1. But if player plays wider calling range, again, wider calling range means that he adds 10-9 suited plus his calling range, which would make his range like 1.1% wider or something. EV drops to -6. So proper hand selection right here would be low suited connectors, off-suit connectors, suited gappers. We don't go too crazy. We don't jam 8 deuce offsuit. But again, gappers, 8 for offsuit is a nice hand to jam against tight opponent who calls not enough preflop. Bad hand to ISO jam are hands that are dominated in the first place when our opponent makes his range wider. Because how does he make his calling range wider? He jam. Opponent would start to add king x's before, let's say, like king 8, king 7, before he adds like check x, 10-8. So king x is like, if we play against an opponent who is able to adjust, or even by default you see that we don't really have an intention to go crazy with our king x, maybe only against very like tight guy preflop, but even against tight guy we need to think several times, do we want to jam this? Just because if he adjusts, EV would drop a lot because his adjustment would start with stronger king x's. Same goes for queen, and same goes for some of a 9x, because yeah, you see, like according to my IC Miser calculations, that he's pretty tight calling range, and that he's GTO-ish kind of a calling range. So 9x would be dominated in first place. It means that I prefer to jam 8-7 over 9-8 suited hand. At about 9-8 we have it right here. Against tight range, win rate is 13, better than a checkback win rate, but it gets worse if he has these 9x combinations. Okay. So summary, how do we adjust to limp only strategy? ISO less. We start to jam more. Start to ISO jam more. So ISO non-all-in goes lower. Let's take a look at these frequencies again. ISO non-all-in 16. Where is it? ISO non-all-in 13, right? About ISO non-all-in, you, like, if we take a look at the range, what changed with ISO non-all-in? changes are that before, like medium strength aces, we didn't play this way, and we played a lot of low aces as an ISO nonolin, but not now. Again, because his range, small blind range, is stronger, so we are more careful with our ISOing range, and we prefer it to be more polar. Look, against mixed strategy, we had some broadways in our ISOing range. Now we don't have them. We don't have them because we don't wanna ISO and get a gem from him, and he would have a range that dominates most of the time our queen 10, king 10 type of hand. Okay. So non-all-in range constructed by way that you make it more polar. ISO non-all-in less broadways. And just ISO jam a bit more. This way we deny equity of our opponent. Best hands to ISO jam are low suited connectors, suited gappers, sum of suited hands. And these hands, like why they are the best, we already proved it by this EV analysis and by taking a look at some, like I see miser results, because even if our opponent range gets wider, these hands, they still suffer the lust in comparison to King X or some 9X, right, which would be dominated by opponent adjustment. Alright, and let me note it just for myself. Start to ISO jam more, ISO non-all-in polar range, don't ISO and much of broadways. Best hands to jam are low connectors, gappers, and so on. Alright, contact me if you have any questions, if you don't agree with something, or you maybe spotted some mistakes by me. Tell me about it, okay? Just my opinion, small of research by me. And another summary, what I encourage you to do, guys, check some GTO ranges in order to understand math and how to construct a bet range. Because it's like if you still play mid-game limp-only strategy without understanding game theory, you are like several years behind. It's not good. Your win rate is lower than it could be. I have nothing against limp-only range if it's adjustment against, I don't know, smart spin guys who ISO a ton versus you, right? But as a default strategy, if you don't understand what you're doing, you just committed to this one, not cool. You might have better win rate. Alright, cheers everyone, bye.